USA. And of course, this week we're preparing for the Mississippi Alabama game, and we have Coach Brown on. Coach Brown is an excellent coach, and you're going to know more about it. I know every time I open up, I think I almost tell too much information about the guests, but I'm just excited about the people that we have on. I think me and Coach trying to figure this out. I think we're related somewhere down the line, so we trying to figure that part out. So it's amazing just to have Coach on for that. But one thing I've noticed from Coach just watching from a distance is her competitive edge. It doesn't matter who she's playing. It doesn't matter where her team is playing. She's gonna have them well prepared. They're gonna play extremely hard, and they're gonna fight to the end. And you can tell they believe they're gonna win every single game. And and that tells a little bit about her. Is just her work ethic. It tells you a lot about her basketball IQ and what she's going to do and what she has done in this game of basketball. So I'm excited to have Coach on. Coach, welcome to the show.
Coach, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I believe in giving people their flowers while they still can smell them, Coach. Coach, I mean, you're no stranger to the game of basketball. Everybody knows you. You have a great history of being a player. Of course, here in Jackson State University, I tried to put my hoodie on and represent Jackson State. That's my alma mater as well, but also too in the coaching game. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about your journey and just how you fell in love with the game of basketball, and then how it transitioned to being able to coach.
Okay. Well, honestly, it started watching the Lakers and the Celtics with my dad.
Okay.
Back in the day when you had Magic and Larry Bird competing, year after year, that's when I
Hmm.
really fell in love with the game of basketball. And shortly after that, my dad bought a goal and put it in the backyard. And that's where I really learned how to play the game. We'd go out there and he roughed me up and beat me up and made me tough. And that's where I learned how to play. And back in the day, people played basketball outside. Now everything
They
is
did.
mostly played in the gym. Kids don't go to parks and they don't play
So
outside.
don't.
But I grew up playing on dirt and grass, and people would be at my house, and the fence would be lined with people waiting to have down. So that was just a fun environment to learn how to play the game. And after I graduated high school, I played at Jackson State. And I was recruited by almost every SWAC school in the state. I think I may have been recruited by every SWAC school, and I was even recruited
That's
by
good.
Mississippi State. But I'm glad that I chose Jackson State because I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. And after I left Jackson State, I played one season in Sweden, and I had a chance to
Okay.
continue to play, and I just decided not to play anymore. And that's kind of when I got into the coaching part of it.
So, Coach, what high school did you go to again?
Yazoo City High School.
Yazoo City High School. And who was your coach?
I played for Archie Carlisle.
Archie Carlisle. Okay, that's cool. It's amazing to see what the young Carlisle is doing. And like you said, I grew up. Of course, my dad's from Yazoo City, so we grew up going to Yazoo City games, and it was just amazing to be able to see that kind of atmosphere. And it was good to see the young Carlisle follow behind his dad. So that's amazing to see. Hopefully, we get young Carlisle on and talk a little bit more about that. Now, Coach, you said something that was major. You said all of the SWAC schools were recruiting you. Any Power Five schools? I know you said Mississippi State, but was there anything else outside of Mississippi State?
No, that was my biggest offer, which was Mississippi State.
Yeah. Now, Jackson State was very. So let me ask you this. I know this is kind of it was a while ago, but if you didn't choose Jackson State, what other SWAC school would you have chosen?
My mom was really pushing Alcorn. Um,
I kind of figured that.
yeah, she's an Alcornite. So if I didn't
Yeah.
choose Jackson State, I probably would have chosen Alcorn.
That's cool, Coach. Now Sweden, talk about that because, of course, going overseas, playing, and of course, I know during that time, and even now, they still struggle with giving women their proper due when it comes to playing professionally. Talk to us about that experience with going over to Sweden because I didn't even know that part about you, Coach. I think that's amazing.
Oh man, it was so much fun. Just going out of the country and competing at a different level.
Hmm.
Like the first few weeks were difficult because I went by myself. And
Yeah.
so it was just difficult getting used to the culture, getting used to being away from my family because I am very family oriented. But
Hmm.
once I got comfortable being there, like it's basketball. You know, you go out, you lace your shoes up, and you play, and you're just playing at a higher level. So it was a great experience for me. It's something I don't regret. And you know, it was just awesome to be able to go out of the country and have the opportunity to get paid to do something that I love to do.
That's cool, coach. And I can imagine, and I know Sweden is kind of one of those better areas, at least while we're here at this point. How did you feel about the Brittany Griner thing? I know it was difficult to be able to see her go through that, not necessarily know all the details, but with you kind of being familiar with going overseas and experiencing that process, what was your kind of thoughts about the whole situation with dealing with Brittany Griner?
You know, I'm grateful that we were able to get her back to the States. You know, I can't
Yeah,
imagine, you know, being in her
hmm
shoes, being in her situation. You know, I
yeah,
really felt bad for her being stuck in that situation. So I'm grateful that we were
hmm
able to get her back home. Because to me, it was a really minor offense. Like here in the
yep.
States, that's nothing. But
That's nothing. You're right,
and
coach.
I yeah, so I, you know, I thought it was more of a political play anyway. So I'm just grateful that we were able
Yeah.
to get her back home.
Yeah, and the thing that hurts me a lot too, that was difficult to see her. But I know a couple weeks ago when they posted a picture, she was kind of working out. I'm not sure if she's working out at the Mercury facility or not, but she just didn't look like herself. And I can imagine the toll it took mentally. Of course, she cutting her dreads off. That was kind of her staple. And I'm hoping that everything is okay because she just doesn't look like herself. And prayerfully, things like that take time because we'll never know what happened behind closed doors. But she just don't look like herself, and prayerfully things are better as things progress in her life.
True. I think once she gets back to the game of basketball and get back into her daily routine of being with her family, she'll find
Hmm.
her way back to herself. Because I'm sure that did take a toll on her mentally. And in fact, I think I saw a letter where she had written to her wife, you know, talking about the
Hmm.
toll it was taking on her. So I think, you know, maybe with some counseling, she'll get back to herself.
That's true, Coach. Coach, I see you represent your Madison Central shirt and represent it with pride, like you do everything. Talk to us a little bit about your coaching staff, your players, your administration, just those involved, your stakeholders here at Madison Central.
Coach, I'm in a very great situation. We have such great support there in Madison. The one thing I love the absolute most is my parents. They support our kids 100%. You know, when
That's
we
good.
play a game, I know when I look in the bleachers, my parents are there. And not just one or two of my parents, all of my parents come to our games and they support our kids 100%. We have great support from our administrators. We have 5 administrators at the school, and they show up even if it's not their assigned duty night to support our kids. Athletic administration, you know, everything is 100% support. So I'm very, very grateful that they support us the way they do.
That's good. That's good to hear, because I talked about this maybe episode one with Justin, my brother. People don't realize, but I say people outside of the coaching world don't realize how important your administration supporting you because it's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you kind of got to get them to help you maneuver in certain type of ways. Nothing out of the way, but it's just certain things that they have the ability to get it done at a much faster rate than we can. So it's important to have individuals on your side who really understand and who really get it.
True, true.
Yeah. And I know like with your head principal, I know he used to be the assistant basketball coach at
Hmm.
Madison. When I because we played at Murrow, him and Coach Heath, Dr. Burford, he's a good guy. I know he was at Pelahatchie and last year, and so it was a good to get to know him in that role of it. And I talked to him actually tonight when I came and watch you all play against Lewisburg. So he's a good guy too. Coach, let's go ahead and get started. This is something that I would love to hear, especially from you. I was at Pisgah last year for the last 6 years. Actually, this is my first year at Richland. I first got opportunity to watch you coach when you were at Velma. So, Coach, talk to me about your days at Velma. Talk to me about the process of kind of building that championship culture that you developed at Velma Jackson that is still prevalent today.
Well, Coach, again, it was another great situation. 100%
Mhm.
parental support, and I think that's that plays a major role in anything that we do. When those kids can look in those bleachers and know that their parents are there and supporting, that makes a difference. They'll play a little bit harder. The biggest thing for me is just trying to get the kids to envision what we're trying to
Mhm.
do, what we're trying to build, what we're working for. Like, I have very high expectations and the standards are
Mhm.
high. And we expect the kids to rise and meet those expectations. We keep long hours in the gym. And and one thing is I have 100% participation. My kids don't really miss practice. They're not late. They're on time. They work hard while they are there, but they understand that is the expectation. And once you get kids to kind of buy into the expectation, the requirements, and why you're doing certain things, then it makes that culture a little bit easier to build. And then from that point, you just kind of cultivate it to make sure that each year you're trying to get better and better and better so the kids can really see the fruits of their labors.
Coach, that's key from what you said. Having your kids come to practice, show up, and want to be in the gym. For those who coach at a small school and those that are still coaching at a small school, you know some of the challenges with getting kids to practice, and that was kind of one of the challenges that we had. Not every year at Pisgah, but some years in and out because for a number of reasons. Of course, in the smaller communities, you got they playing multiple sports, and sometimes kids kind of
True.
get tired throughout the year. They may be working, and then especially in some small schools, kids may live 30, 40 minutes away from the school. So to be able to have your kids come every day and show up, that is amazing. I know it's Coach Winston. That's Coach Winston that's now available. Is it Winston?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
she's
of
there.
course.
She
Had
actually
our
played for me when I was there.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we had
Hmm.
I got an opportunity to coach against her 1 year. Of course, she won the district title this past year, and had an opportunity to get to the Coliseum. They played a good Heidelberg team, and it was neck and neck.
True.
It was a good game to watch, and she's doing an amazing job at Velma Jackson. And I know it's got to be good to be able to see people that you had an opportunity to mentor, and then doing the same thing there at Velma. So that's very exciting. So, Coach, I know that just listening to you, I know you had a lot of passion for Velma Jackson, and this is something I kind of dealt with being at Pisgah for 6 years. I had good connects. Really grown in the community, really enjoyed it, but also too wanted to keep advancing in my career. There was nothing wrong with Pisgah, and it was kind of challenge. It was a kind of challenge, and I thought about it, I prayed about it, talked to my family and friends. Would this be the right move to Richland? And I'm not sure if you had that same kind of thought process, but talk to kind of take us back to the process when you were transitioning. Say, I love it here at Vilma, but I know I got a great thing I can accomplish at Madison Central. Kind of talk us through that process because a lot of coaches are facing that. Coming up right now because of course season is over with. You see a lot of coaching changes now. So talk to us about the process of leaving somewhere good and going somewhere and not necessarily knowing what to expect.
Well, honestly, Coach, like I love being at Velma Jackson. Like I felt
Hmm.
like I was a part of the community. I felt like we were all family. And honestly, I had no plans to leave Velma.
Yeah.
And like it was really, I feel like it was really God's timing that kind of pushed me towards Madison Central because
Yeah.
I had no plans. I was happy. I knew we had a chance to maybe play for a state championship the next year had I stayed. But
Hmm.
the opportunity to go to Madison, I felt like it was one that I could not really turn down. It was the opportunity to go try to build a program that had not been successful in over 20 years. So I welcomed that challenge of it. It was really hard to leave Velma because I absolutely love being there. But I had a mentor tell me once that there's never a good time to leave. You just have to do it
That's
because
good.
you can always find a reason to stay. Because you love your kids, you love the situation, but
That's true.
there's never a good time to leave. You just have to do it if you want to try to advance your career. And I thought Madison Central was a good place for me to go after leaving Velma. It was a chance to stay in the district, and I worked for a really great district. And so I was
Hmm.
happy about being able to stay in the district. And then, it gave me a chance to get closer to home so I could spend a little bit more time with my family too. So I thought it was just a great next move after leaving Velma Jackson.
I think that's major. And again, I'm in Rankin County now, but prior to going to Pisgah, 2012 to 2016, I was at Germantown with Spencer Gatlin, and Madison County is a great school district. And of course, my brother's at Germantown now, so he is there. So that is major when you can make that. But I like that piece of advice, Coach, because you are right. You can find anything to say. Well, I want to stay one more year for that kid, or like this parent. Like you always find something. So I like that piece of advice that you gave and someone gave to you that you just shared with me, hopefully help someone else out because you will find something. You'll be up all night thinking of things. But I think if you have an opportunity and you want to keep advancing in this career, I think you have to take those chances when they come available. Now, going to
Amen.
Madison Central, of course, we all know Madison Central has a high standard for academics, activities, and athletics. And you said that you knew going into this job that it wasn't a whole lot of success, ranging for about 20 years. So the success rate is we don't know where it could be when you arrive, et cetera, et cetera. But we do know that Madison has a strong culture in football, soccer, I know the swim program is very good. Baseball, all the programs are pretty good. Basketball has always kind of been in the background, and not saying anything negative. So, kind of knowing that, what do you like? What was your thought process of going? How can I? I guess I would say, how would I'm going to make women's basketball or girls basketball at Madison Central important and make it not be in the background, be on that same playing field where people say, hey, we can go to the girls basketball game, we can go to the football game. Like, what was your process of going to try to make that a cornerstone of your I guess a cornerstone of just kind of your legacy at Madison Central?
Well, going into it, I had like a a 4 year plan. You know, a plan.
Okay.
The first part of the plan was to change the culture and find ways to win ball games. Then the
Yeah.
second part was to create excitement around girls basketball. And
Yeah.
then, the third part was to, you know, keep moving the program forward to where we're consistently a playoff team. So now we're in the
Hmm.
last part of the plan is where we're trying to ultimately win that championship. And I think
Yeah.
we're heading in that right direction.
I
Like
agree.
when I
Hmm.
got there, the year before I got there, they had only won 3 games. So, my
Hmm.
first year, we won 8. But the thing that was most significant was the kids wanted change. The kids wanted to win. So they
Hmm.
really bought in. That senior class really bought in and did everything I asked them to do to lay the foundation for everyone that was
Yeah.
coming behind them, like putting in extra hours in the gym, skill development, just anything I asked them to do, they did it. So now when you have the younger kids seeing the seniors work as hard as they worked, that just really cemented the foundation for us to continue to build the program on. So I just felt like that was important, getting those seniors to buy in. And the good thing about it is they wanted change, they wanted to win. So, it made a really big difference, just kind of getting them to kind of lead the program and turn it the way in the direction that we're headed now.
Cause that's important to have senior buy-in, and that's one thing that we struggle with this year at Richland, where I am now. Um, we only won 4 games, but as you know, when you're going into a program, it takes a little bit of time. It took me longer than I expected for my seniors to really understand where we were trying to go, and that's one of the challenging things that I try to inform people when they go into a new job or they're taking over. You have to really look at your seniors. If you can go into a place where your seniors are going to be absolutely just bought in and just want something different, it makes the process so much better. But when you almost have to beg and just every day have to fight that constant battle with kids that you know you're only gonna have for about 7 to 9 months, that could be a struggle. And those are some of the things that we kind of dealt with. And those are great kids. Don't have anything negative to say about it because we speak positivity on this podcast. But I would have loved to see them just buy in a little bit more. I know once the season is over now, and I think they kind of see some of the things that we have. but our young kids really bought into it. So that's the thing I'm excited about, is seeing what this young group is going to do. Because we ended the season, coach, with 4 sophomores, 4 freshmen, and 1 junior, and it was brutal, coach. We lost a lot of games, but it was discouraging at times. But I just believe that what we're trying to do, I believe, is going to be successful down the road.
Exactly. And sometimes early, you take those lumps, and especially with you
Hmm.
having a really young team, it will
Hmm.
pay off for you in a year, year and a half to 2 years, where if they keep doing the work, keep listening, keep working hard, keep trying to get better, that stuff will start to translate to wins for you.
Well, I appreciate that, coach. I'm gonna hope prayerfully in a couple of years, I'm gonna say, coach, I thank you for that word of encouragement. Um, Coach, I saw some things that you posted. I think it might have been last year when you first got there. I'm a big believer of branding your program, and I guess it's kind of like my college mindset, because when I look at colleges, you go to their locker rooms or you go to their social media accounts, you look at what they wear. They wear their brand, their logo, their team with super, super pride, coach. And I was kind of excited to see the things that the locker room and some other things that you had. So, coach, just talk to us about the importance of branding your program, and why do you feel that's important? And of course, you wearing it now, coach. You could have chose anything to wear, but you decided to represent Madison Central. So talk to us about, why do you feel branding is important to you?
Because it shows the pride that you have in your program. Like, and that was
Hmm.
one thing I really fought for when I got to Madison Central, was to
Yeah.
upgrade our locker room. It took me a few
Hmm.
years to kind of get it done, but I think it
Yeah.
gives those kids such a sense of pride when they walk in that locker room and they know that that's their space, that's their
Yes.
area, and then that pride
Hmm.
just kind of trickles out onto the floor. Like with
Hmm.
everything we do, I try to be 100% uniform. Like this was the
Yeah.
first year since I've been coaching that we did not wear team shoes to play in. And I'm
Mm.
still trying to figure out how I feel about that. And it was just a part because we could not get the shoes, get them in time.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
everything we wear from head to toe is pretty much uniform, including our travel gear, game gear, everything. Home and away, we're pretty much uniform. And they know I'm really big on uniformity. I like us to look good.
Hmm.
Somebody said you look good, you feel good, you play good.
Hmm.
And I actually, took a page out of Coach Tameika Reed's book about
Yeah.
just kind of branding a little bit. She told me
Hmm.
once when she got to Hines, like one of her requirements was like every time you go out, you wear your Hines gear as far as like the coaches. You represent your
Hmm.
school, your university, so people see it. So that, makes them wonder, hey, what are they doing here? What are they doing there? Now they want to
Yeah.
come out and actually kind of see what's going on. So I think it's important, and I take a lot of pride in the job that I do. So 90% of the time, you will see me in either Madison Central gear or Jackson State gear.
Yeah. Coach, I think that's important, because again, you just like billboards, or just like, of course, everything you see on social media, watching YouTube, there's advertisement all the time. People are branding their companies everywhere they go. So I think that's so, so important. And I'm starting to understand the importance of it. Just realizing the more you can put something in front of people, it sticks there. And so it's just so important that you do that. It's funny that you said the shoot thing, Coach. I've kind of been like that too, and it's I've gone back and forth with it. I allow kids to have a little bit of freedom by choosing, but this is kind of what I did, because I'm like you. I don't like, and no knock to anything. That's the style and the culture we live in. Kids love the wild colors, et cetera, et cetera. But I told the kids, if get a shoe, but that shoe had to fit in a certain color scheme. So I know this year we did, like, you get a red or a navy, because obviously it's our school colors, and that kind of works a little bit. But what ended up happening is what you said. All the kids kind of wanted to have the same shoe. So you said it right. The kids want to be a part, because nobody wants to feel like I'm the last man out, or it's all about me. So I'm really big on that as well. Coach, talk to us about. I've always heard these things, of course, being at Germantown, being at other school districts. I talked about the Big Blue and their support, and some things that they do for you all. Talk to us about the importance of having a booster club that supports you, and they don't have any. They don't. it seems from the outside looking in that they don't try to, well, we're gonna support this group and not support this group. It seems like from the outside looking in that whatever you all need, we want you to have because we want Madison Central to be number one in everything that we do. So, kind of talk to us a little bit about the Big Blue and kind of your experiences with your organization, with the Booster Club organization. Excuse
Well, that's one good thing about having a booster club that supports all of athletics. Everybody gets supported equally. Um,
That's important.
and I'm grateful for Big Blue because they do so
Mhm.
much for us, and our kids. I'm grateful to have athletic administration that really supports my vision for what I'm trying to do with this program. Big Blue pretty much was the reason we were able, or the way we were able to get our locker room upgraded. Playoff games, we get to charter a bus to our playoff games. We don't have to drive those trips, and that's courtesy of Big Blue.
That's nice.
But yeah, but the thing is, like, we have to fundraise, and everything kind of goes into the Big Blue pots, but it's distributed
Yeah,
to each of the sports. So, pretty much anything that we need within reason, of course, we can kind
yeah,
of reach out to our athletic administration, and if they can do it, they do it for us. So I'm grateful to have an athletic booster club that supports all of athletics, and I don't have to manage a booster club or
mm,
get out there and try to raise funds just for my sport, where another sport may be able to raise more than I can. So I feel kind of left behind. So I'm grateful
yeah.
that Big Blue takes care of every sport equally.
That makes a difference when you don't. That's one thing, one less thing you have to worry about it. And kind of going back to our days when we had a small school. When you're the small school, you the booster club president, you the bus driver, you everything. So it's good
Coach,
to be able to kind of.
everything.
It is though,
Coach,
coach,
let me
and
tell you,
like you said,
when I was at Velma, like one time, I had to drive to Carthage on a bus to get chicken strips
yeah.
because we sold, chicken strips as a fundraiser. So, yeah, I'm
Because I,
grateful for Big Blue.
Co- Coach, I know what you mean. Justin and I, because we coach girls and boys at Pisgah. So, Coach, he would go get the pizza sometime. I would have to run the Sam sometime. And like you say, it was when you doing it, Coach, you don't really think about it. But when you reflect back on them days, you're like, man, how do we do those things? Like you say, Coach, you got to drive out with the cars to get some chicken strips, and that should be the last thing on your list is
Exactly.
chicken strip delivery. But
Exactly. But you know what, Coach? I tell you, I feel like every young coach should start out at a place like that. It really builds character, it builds work ethic.
preach, Coach.
And then when you get to a place like a Madison Central or, maybe somewhere in Rankin County, then you are
Hmm.
grateful, you know,
Yes.
for, to be in a better situation. So, it was hard, it was difficult, but it taught me how to work hard. And I'm grateful for all of it.
That's true, Coach. And Coach, you dropping some gems on us tonight. And Coach, that's so important, And the thing about it, Coach, when you show up to that game, of course, your game started at 6 o'clock. The opposing coach don't care. You had to get them chicken strips. It's time to play. So, like you said, it makes you really, really get at it. Coach, I just been listening to some of the things you've been saying and talking about skill work. You said that a lot of time, being in the gym, and I'm guessing that's kind of why, of course, God given ability is number one. But I'm guessing that's kind of why you had the career you had at Jackson State University. I've kind of heard some of the things about it. I haven't heard it in detail. I know that you are in the Hall of Fame. Is that correct? At
That's
Jackson State?
correct. Hmm.
I think something. And what about scoring? Something with scoring or something? I know you had
Well, I'm
scored a
in the
lot of.
1,000 point. Well, I'm in the 1,000 point club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay. So, Coach, talk to me a little bit about your Jackson State days and just anything you want to share about it. I know you're such a humble person, Coach, but I love to bring people on because everybody don't know you, Coach. But just tell us a little bit. I know you're not bragging because again, you do carry yourself under the radar. But just talk to us a little bit about your Jackson State Hall of Fame career.
Well, I mean, I like going to Jackson State was the absolute best thing I think I could have done. I absolutely love Jackson State, love playing at Jackson State.
Hmm.
Was very blessed and fortunate to have a great career there. I ended up sitting out my sophomore or redshirt my sophomore season because I had stress
Hmm.
fractures in both legs. And I was just
Hmm.
grateful to return to the floor and just play. But the thing
Yeah.
about me is I never went into it. Oh, I want to be in the Hall of Fame, or I want this, I want that. I just wanted to play
Hmm.
basketball because I love playing so much, and I still love playing. I just wanted to play basketball, and I was fortunate to play for Coach Archie Carlisle, and
Hmm.
he pushed me hard to help develop my skills. Even my senior year, like I would practice with the girls, and then turn around and practice with the boys. So that just kind of taught me my work ethic. And
Yeah.
and it helped me to when I made that transition to Jackson State to be able to work hard and compete with those college players. Because even from the
Hmm.
moment I got there, I started all for a season. I never came off the
Wow.
bench. Yeah, started as a true freshman, which that rarely happens now.
Rarely, coach.
Yeah, and then and I'm in the 1,000 point club. They named me to the Legends team. Member of the Hall of Fame. Won two SWAC championships there. Um, but I just wanted to play basketball, and I just love playing it with the people I got a chance to play with, and for the university I got a chance to play for. So I'm just blessed to have had the career that I did.
That's cool, coach. And talked about Tamika Reed and what she's doing. She's doing a great job. I think, and we're going to talk about this later on in the interview, of course, and you know it better than I know it. Women don't get the credit that they deserve because I guarantee that if a guy was doing what she was doing, doesn't matter if it was SWAC or if it was even lower, if it was maybe JUCO or anything else, it would be a whole lot more praise than that. But talk to us about what's different between your college experience and probably the college experience of some of the young ladies coming up now. What do you think would be some of the major differences, or some things that were better, some things that were worse? Um, just dealing with college experience for ladies.
I think the biggest difference is the social media aspect of it. When I played, we didn't have social media, so now
Hmm.
everything is instant. Just instant everything. Everything's on social
Yep.
media, and you get your likes, you get your views, you get your comments. Like I feel like I would love to play in this era. Yeah,
Oh yes,
because
yes indeed.
everything is just promoted so much. And then, with the
Hmm.
addition of the NIL, like that's just even better. So now
Hmm.
you get a chance to make money while you're a collegiate athlete, doing something that you love to do. I
Hmm.
think like Tameika Reed, she's doing a great job at Jackson State. She's
She is.
putting us back on the map, and you can't beat the job that she's done there. And
Hmm.
just the culture that she's built, even after she's long gone. I think that culture will stand on the foundation that she's built.
I think so too. I'm excited. Swag Championship starts this week. Excited about it. Of course, our ladies are number one. I saw. I think I saw our boys are number. Me and are number four. So I'm excited about it. It'll be a great thing if we can get our girls, excuse me, men and women to win that swag title that same year. That'll be amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. But speaking of a big week, coach, the Mississippi Alabama game is coming up this weekend. I know last year you were the assistant coach, and so you got an opportunity to be able to see some things, which I think is an amazing thing. I think in life, and you said it earlier, coach, sometimes in life you got to be able to sit back and evaluate some things, learn some things, and grow. Because in this generation, a lot of times what you said is instant. Well, I'm gonna automatically be the head coach. I'm gonna automatically be the leader. But what they don't realize, sometimes if you take that back seat, and not necessarily you stand there, nobody is greater and nobody's less than anybody. But if you can take that opportunity and you can learn, it makes major differences. I'm excited to be able to see you lead the team, of course, along with Coach Moore, and she's gonna be on later on this week on the show as well. But talk to me about some things that you learned last year, and some of the things you're going to try to apply from what you learned, and some wisdom that you picked up from just being on the staff and being a vital part of being an assistant last year on the Mississippi Alabama team.
Well,
Excuse
Coach,
me.
I went into it kind of like you said. Like last year, I knew Coach Hill, but I never really worked with Coach Hill from Biloxi.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of did what you said. I kind of observed kind of how he did, because like I'm always trying to learn something new, and and it's rare
Yep.
that I get a chance to go see another high school practice. So I'm just kind of familiar with how
Yes.
I do things, or maybe how our boys coach does things. So I'm always trying to learn
Mhm.
something. So I went in just really being in a more observant role, just
Yep.
kind of watching to see how he would, install certain things or how he ran practice or, just kind of his philosophy on, the game plan for that game. And what I took
Yep.
away from it is like playing Alabama is different. It's a little bit different than playing here
Yeah.
in Mississippi. Like that game is
It's
a
a different
lot
style,
faster. Yeah,
more
definitely. And
physical
then you
too.
have kids who are a lot bigger,
Mhm.
and they shoot the three ball at a little bit at a higher clip than we do here in Mississippi some places. So
Mhm.
I think what I took away from it for this season, if you notice on the roster, most of our kids are at least 5'10" or taller. you know, I
Yep.
I was fortunate that we had a lot of tall guards to choose from. So we went with a lot of
Mhm.
length to help us be able to defend against Alabama. Because typically they have taller kids on their team. And I think that it's important. We picked, I think, 10 guards, I believe it is, because it really is a
Mhm.
guard oriented game. And
Yes, it is.
it's fast. You have to be able to get up and down. So, I was fortunate to be able to observe that. So when it was my turn to kind of pick a team, I kind of had an
Mhm.
idea of what we needed to pick or who we needed to pick to give Mississippi the best chance to win the game. And we were fortunate. We had a lot of tall guards to choose from this year.
And that's important to be able to have what you need and to be very very successful with that. And then you said it right though. Where you go is different styles of basketball. Even here in Mississippi, when you play on the coast, it's different. When you play in the Delta, it's called differently. So being able to adjust that is very, very big. But I can remember in high school, we used to go for Thanksgiving. We used to go down to a tournament when I was at Murrah in Alabama, and the physicality was so different. What we call a foul, it's not a foul there. And so you really got to adjust to that. So I'm glad you had that experience and to be able to kind of prepare that. And I believe we got a good squad in Mississippi, of course. Prayerfully, Madison comes out there and plays successful. I know the McDonald's All American game is coming up, but I've seen a trend with the boys that if we have a star and some games coming up, they don't play. But I feel confident that she will. I know Victoria Vivian, she played when she was preparing for the All American. Well, she didn't make the All American game, which was unfortunate. But she was played preparing for it. The Devin Booker, he played for it that year. So I'm looking forward to that because we want to put our best against their best, and I'm
Exactly.
excited about that.
I am
Coach,
too.
talk a little. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think we chose some really talented kids, and I
Yep.
think Mississippi has a really good chance at winning this year. We haven't won it since 2017, so it's time to go ahead and get back in the win column against Alabama.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm trying to look at that roster now. To look at, I kind of just double checking it, just looking at it, but we do have a great list just looking at it from a lot of different areas that we have. Of course, just kind of glancing at the list now. Those are strong, and be honest, when I'm looking at this list, coach, a lot of these teams made it far into the playoffs. Of course, we got, of course, you have Bowen from Horn Lake. They had a good season.
Hmm.
Um, course, Neshoba Central always keeps some individuals. Of course, he talked about Coach Hill. He got a girl from Biloxi, Gulfport. So there's a lot of even the young lady to 2A young lady from Walnut. She can shoot the ball well. So I'm just excited about their lineup. And to be honest, Coach, those kids like they vibe together, Coach, and that's
Hmm.
important to have good, high quality character young ladies. Coach, let's talk a little bit basketball, and I'm gonna get you out of here, Coach.
Okay.
Um, I saw this earlier today, and we talked about. I'm gonna just read it from my notes. It said your team is up by 3, and the opposing team has the ball with 10 seconds left. Coach, what's your philosophy with that? So, of course, you're up by 3. Other team has the ball. 10 seconds left in the game, and are you fouling to make them shoot 2 free throws and extend the game, or are you just gonna lock down on defense and play? What's your philosophy with that?
We just gonna lock down on defense. Like
Okay.
I haven't gotten to the point where I believe in fouling and putting them on the line so they can't hit the three. I
Mhm.
think we would try to hard deny their best player or best ball handler take the ball
Yeah.
out of that kid's hand to make somebody else
Yeah.
have to make a play. But we're just gonna play straight up D, especially if we're coming the length of the floor. We'll pick up with a little token pressure, try to make them use some of the clock. Once we cross half, play a little bit tougher defense. But the biggest thing is for me is not to foul. I want to get the
Mm-hmm.
game over with, so I don't want to stop the clock. So I want the clock to continue to
For sure.
run. So we probably wouldn't foul. Play good defense. If they get a shot, try to get in there and block out and get the rebound and go ahead and get the game over.
Very sound, coach. I like that. Let's talk about the timeouts. I know in episode 2, I talked with my cousin out of Dallas. He coaches at Madison, and he has a philosophy about timeouts. And me and him had a kind of uh, district tournament. He felt I shouldn't have called a timeout a couple of years ago. I called a timeout, and we kind of went back and forth, kind of with that, but just good basketball talk. Because when I listened to what he said, it was some good thoughts. He heard what I said, vice versa. So, like you said, I'm always listening. So, talk to us about timeouts. Are you a momentum timeout caller? You like to save them? Are you about possession, position? Just talk to us about your philosophy with calling timeouts or using timeouts throughout a game.
Coach, it's changed a lot over the years. Like I used to be
Mm-hmm.
big on trying to save them to the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Now,
Me too.
now I really call timeouts based on my gut, honestly. Now, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
momentum may make me call one that I did not plan to call, but towards the
Yeah.
end of the season, I changed my philosophy 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got to district, that rotation gets a little bit shorter. The number of kids
It
that you play.
does.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I did, because we're in such a tough district. I had to battle with
Yep.
Germantown 4 times this year, Clinton.
Yep.
Really,
Mm-hmm.
really tough district. So what I did was I wanted to cut the game into 4 minute segments. So I started
Okay.
calling a timeout at the 4 minute mark in the first quarter, 4 minute mark of the
Mm-hmm.
second quarter, 4 minute mark of the third quarter, and then it still leaves you two timeouts for late in the fourth if you need it. Just to kind
Mm.
of break the game down in 4 minute segments to where my kids play hard for 4 minutes, we take a break, we talk about it, get some water. Then play hard for another 4 minutes, and then you have the end of the quarter or you have halftime. So
Mm.
I kind of like the way
I like
that
that.
worked for us. So, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I'll stick with it next year. But I do like my kids responded a lot better when we broke the game down into 4 minute segments versus
Mm-hmm.
trying to play, an 8 minute quarter because we got to the point where we were only playing maybe 7 kids, 6 or 7 kids. So that, 4 minute increments, that really helped us a lot, I felt like.
Coach, again, I like your mindset. That's that college basketball mindset, and coach. And I'm gonna ask this question later on, but I can kind of see pieces of it already by just a conversation. But that's kind of almost like the media timeouts that you get in college. Roughly around at every so many mark, it's a timeout coming. So, coach, I like your philosophy, and that's the thing that people outside of this coaching world don't realize. Like, and that was kind of the whole biggest thing about the positivity part, because people come to a basketball game. I said this last episode. They see us for a very small part of others' day, and they make assumptions and say these things, but they don't realize the thought process, the time that's spent into this, and they make it seem so easy. And that's why I like my spotlight coaches, because coach, again, I'm picking up things, just having a basic conversation, but these are the things that we constantly think about. All you do is pay your ticket at the door, or use GoFan, get you a bag of popcorn, and you the best coach in the world.
Exactly.
But you haven't thought about these things. So coach, that's powerful, coach. I never heard that before, being broken down like that. Coach, talk to me about defense now. Of course, I know at your level, man to man is the key focus, and it could be different. When I went to Pisgah and in the smaller schools, you see a lot of zone, and that really kind of caught me at first. And I really had to increase my zone package offense because, to be honest, coach, growing up when we played, I know it was for you. Coach say, man, drive it, kick it, knock a 3 point down. They're gonna come out their zone. But of course, a lot of kids don't always shoot as well. So I really had to put some things together. Now kind of going back in 4A, you see a little bit of man, you see some type of zone. So coach, talk to me about zone defense and about man defense. Talk to me about what your philosophies with both of them. Are you a man? Are you zone? Or you mix them up together? Or just talk to us about that a little bit.
again, it's changed, as I've gone through this coaching thing. I started out
Hmm.
mostly zone. Um,
Yep.
and honestly, coach, it really, I try to prepare my team to play both. And once I got to
Hmm.
Madison, it really became a lot more straight man to man, man to man.
Yep.
But this year,
Hmm.
I went back to my 2-3 zone because I
Yeah.
felt like it gave us the best chance at winning. Um,
Yeah.
so it just kind of depends on who we're playing and as to what we need to do for that night,
Hmm.
probably which one I'm
Yeah.
going to play. I'm
Hmm.
mostly 2-3 or man to man, but when I was at Velma and
Hmm.
we had to play Amanda Ells in a district tournament, I switched to a 3-2
Yeah.
and it worked very well for us.
Yeah.
So it just
Yep.
kind of depends on the needs, the players that the opposing team has, my strengths
Yep.
and weaknesses, the players I have. But
Hmm.
90% of the time in the last 6 years I've been at Madison Central, it's pretty much man to man. And I think that prepares the kids to be able to play at the collegiate level anyway, because most of your collegiate teams play man to man. So,
That's true.
especially if I'm trying to prepare a kid to get to that next level, we're mostly playing man. Like during the summer, it's all man to man. We never play zone during the
Hmm.
summer because I want my kids to learn how to
Hmm.
guard. And early in the season, even though we're trying to win, I play man most of the early part of the season. Now, once I get to district play, like, it goes back to kind of what we need to try to win.
That's good there, coach. And I like what you said. I kind of wish that some coaches would kind of get away from the bashing a little bit where they saying, well, you playing zone, you being this, or you like I don't think it's a right or wrong way, to better play the game because you have to be able to change it up. I think zones, I'm like you, I play a little bit of both. It really depends on the level of competition. And sometimes if I know a team has seen man all year, let's throw a little bit of zone, throw a little wrinkle in there. So I kind of wish that the language around coaches would change a little bit. I just think it's about strategy. I don't think it's a personal shot if somebody plays zone or somebody doesn't play zone. I think I think you just need a collection of different things. Same thing too. You see a lot of people they call it junk defense. I don't necessarily call it junk defense, but people have the boxing one, your triangle two. So I just think whatever you need to be able to create an advantage for you to win, I think it's important.
True, I agree.
Talk. Yeah, talk a little bit. We talked defense, coach. What are some of your best offensive actions that you like to implement, or what are some offensive actions that's a staple in Coach Brown's offense that generates points or creates scoring opportunities for your kids?
Um, I don't know if you ever watched John Stockton and Karl Malone with Utah.
Yeah, I did.
And they
Hmm.
would screen and ball screen you to death. So we would
They
screen and
would.
roll on that wing. That's one of the things I like to do if we need a bucket. Um, the
Hmm.
last couple of years, I've gotten into elevator screens. So
Yeah.
we will run, quite a few elevator screens within our offense to try to get, get to scoring opportunities. So like if I need a quick bucket, it's probably going to be a pick and roll on the wing, or I put my kids in some
Hmm.
type of elevator action.
Yeah, coach. I love the pick and roll. It is hard to guard the pick and roll, and you right, John Stockton and Karl Malone. And people don't. I don't know. Well, I guess the true historians of the game of basketball, you got to look at who is the all-time leading scorer and assists. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's John Stockton.
I think so too.
And you got to think about it. That pick and roll, and a lot of times with Justin and my brother, when we played 2-on-2, we played pick and roll in street ball game because you're gonna give us the roll. If you switch, we're gonna take advantage. We're gonna shoot a jump shot. The pick and roll is hard to guard, coach. And I'm trying. I have a big, and I'm trying to get him. He gonna set the screen, coach. But kids, he want to step out and pop and shoot that three. If I can get him to dive that lane and get that roll, he gonna really make some money scoring that basketball. But I'm just kids
But
today want to pop out to that 3 point line, get that shot.
exactly, because that looks better. That's what get the crowd going. A
Yeah.
layup doesn't get the crowd going, coach. Got to
Nuh-uh.
let that
I
man shoot the
know it, man.
three.
I told him you're gonna shoot the three. You gotta spend some more time on this dish. But he want to shoot that three though. But he's a good kid. But he don't. But on the series, if he can just dive, he'll get that jump shot. But like you said, coach, and you got a little bit more experience than I have. Kids, it's this generation going back to social media because they friends gonna be in there in the stands recording. So it's gonna look better on the snap. This jump shot is later. So if we can
Exactly.
get them to leave that snap alone, we're gonna be okay. Um, what else I got on here? Yeah, I got a good one right here, Coach. How much freedom do you give your players, or do you? Well, let me reframe the question. Freedom within the offense is kind of based on personnel. I do know that. So how do you determine when to let them go, when not to let them go?
Coach, I am very, I'm a control freak. So I try to
Yeah.
control as much of the game as I can. So
Yeah.
uh, they have some freedom,
Yeah.
of course, especially in transition offense, it's yours. Do
Hmm.
what you want to do with it. But if we have to run, if the defense gets back and we have to pull it out and run a half court offense, we're probably calling something from the bench. Now,
Yeah.
if I have a point guard that's come through the ranks with me and she's grown up in
Hmm.
my program, then by the time she's a junior or a senior, then she has a lot of freedom on this floor, to call the
Yeah.
offense or to make decisions with the ball because we just built that relationship and she knows what I want done with the ball. But if I have a
Hmm.
young point guard, like I had a seventh grader this year, as my starting point
Hmm.
guard. So we tried to control a lot of what she did with that ball or where she put it. But as she
Hmm.
gets older, and comes up through the program, she'll have a lot more freedom.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her grow in your program. I think she can't have a better coach than you to be able to teach and educate her in that manner of it. My biggest thing I always see with young kids is, if people just leave them alone, because sometimes you know how it is, coach. They find a kid and everybody kind of want to grab onto them. I just really like to see kids stay humble. I love to see kids work extremely hard. I love to see kids listen to their coach. That's so important. And I can just, she seems to be a solid young lady. She listens to you. She gives you great eye contact. And I just want that for all our young kids because you see too many kids going down the road, um, when I say going down the road, taking a path where, okay, I'm listening to this coach, this AAU coach, or I'm looking in the stands, or I'm trying to do this, trying to do that, and that just messed the kid up so badly. So I'm just an advocate of trusting your high school coach. There's a reason that your high school coach is there, and have no problem, And I think it's a working relationship between that AAU coach or their travel team. I think that all has to work together, but I don't think it should ever be a point where is this coach versus this coach or this versus this because that just destroys the kid. If you just let people do their job, it's gonna work itself out. In the grand scheme of things, the greatest coaches, and you just said it yourself, the greatest coaches know I'm here to kind of direct them because the good ones, they already know what to do. They just need some leadership. And so I just like to see that point of it. And I'm expecting her to do great things. But that's kind of frustrating to see sometimes to see kids that's on the right path, but other people want to get involved and try to steer them. And you don't have to do that. Let good enough be good enough.
Exactly. And that's the thing about playing in this day and age. These kids have so many people in their ear that
Yep.
they're listening to. They feel obligated to try to please and do what they
Mm,
tell them to do. Like
mm, yep.
I just want these kids to play, get out there, have a little fun,
That's it.
win some ball games,
Hmm.
and just keep working hard
Yep.
and get better. And I try to make sure I
Yeah.
have a good relationship with all of the AAU coaches that my kids play for. And and
That's
we talk
important.
about what where we're trying to get this kid to go. We're on the same page about the expectations or the plans for these particular kids. So
Mm,
hopefully we're both saying the same thing. We may say it differently, but it's
yep.
ultimately the same thing being said.
And and that's the most important thing. Like, it should never be a divide between that. So, man, prayerfully, kids and coaches and everybody listening, we just want the best for the kids. It's never about us. And coach, you said it earlier. When these kids go off and they're superstars, like I had an opportunity to see Coach Glasgow and the Glasgows work at Germantown, and of course Madison, they won a championship last night. You don't see a lot of praise going to the Coach Glasgow or the coaches. So in the grand scheme of things, we not gonna get the credit regardless, but we do not all the work, but we do a lot of the work. So we really not in it for anything else but just to help that
Yep,
kid and help other kids. So
exactly.
uh,
And I mean, that's how I
yeah,
feel about
people.
it. Like, I played enough
Mhm.
basketball, won enough
Yep.
basketball games, enough
Hmm.
accolades. If I was to never win another basketball game, like, I got enough wins. So at this point in my
Yep.
career, it's
Hmm.
not about me. It is about these kids and helping them to
Yep.
achieve their dreams and their goals and get to the levels that they want to get to.
That's true, coach. And I'm hoping that what we saying today and the rest of the guests, we just trying to create positivity in our game. Coach, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you got a busy week this week. I call these kind of like my fast break questions, kind of basketball topic questions, but just kind of just give some excitement to our fans that are listening. So I kind of run through them kind of quickly. Um, Coach, who's your favorite college team? It could be men or women. And who do you pick to win a national championship on the women's side?
All right, let's see here. My favorite women's team, Jackson State, because that's my
Okay,
alma
good
mater.
answer.
Um, my favorite men's team, I've been a Blue Devil fan for the longest since Grant Hill was playing with them.
Mhm.
And to win the championship, South Carolina. I don't know who will win it
South
on the
Carolina.
men's side, but South Carolina on the women's
Mhm.
side.
Yeah, South Carolina. They what Don State, Coach Don Staley is doing amazing. Of course, our girls coach, Coach Strong at Richland, she loves South Carolina as well. She wears the hoodie. I think it's Women versus Everybody, or what's the hoodie
Okay,
that
yeah.
South Carolina? Yeah,
WVB versus everybody.
yeah, that's it. Yes, she wears it all the time. So she's definitely representing them. Coach, all-time coaching style. Like, let's say if you had an opportunity, coach, to let's say if you had to coach let's say if you had to coach the 18 and under USA team, and of course you're the head coach, and you get an opportunity. I know that, I hope I don't put you in a too tight spot, but you got an opportunity to choose four coaches to be on the same staff with you. I'm gonna make the question a little bit harder. You can't choose anybody on your staff right now because obviously that could be your answer, of course. What four coaches would you choose and I'm gonna make it a little tougher too. Like, you got to be here in Mississippi. What four coaches would you choose on a high school level to bring with you to coach in coaching that game to bring home the gold medal for our country?
All right, definitely Coach Foster over at Brandon. She's great.
Okay, she,
I,
yep,
I love her energy. I love everything that she's doing for
hmm,
Brandon High School. She
yep,
be on my coaching staff.
yeah, she,
Coach Winston at Velma Jackson. She
yep,
is by far one of the smartest players I've ever coached, and she's doing a great
hmm,
job out there at Velma Jackson.
yep.
Let's see here, two more. Man, you can't miss Coach Smith up at Boonville. He's won four
Oh
state
yes,
championships in two
oh,
years.
2 years,
Yeah,
yes,
he got four of them in 2 years. So you can't
yeah,
leave him off the list. And then he's a great guy. I've been knowing
yeah,
him since I was at Velma Jackson. Humble guy,
hmm,
he's great. So he'd be on my coaching staff.
hmm.
The last spot on that staff, hmm, man, I don't know. Oh, I do know. Anna
Yeah,
Jackson. Like, you
Manny
have to
Jackson,
have Anna Jackson on
yeah.
your coaching staff. Like, she's a great basketball mind. She's somebody I could learn from. So definitely Anna
Yes.
Jackson.
Yeah, Coach Jackson's a good one. When I was, of course, I came to Murrah. Of course, she was a staple already there. And when I came back, I coached at Murrah for 3 years when I first got back, and just always picking her brain about small different things. We actually went to church together, still go to church together, and she just dropped some nuggets on me. And it didn't even deal with basketball, but it was about the concept of basketball, which really, really amazed me. And I learned just to keep it simple, and she told me something about just coaching. She told me about changing practices up because she said, Coach, I like the way practice is running, et cetera, et cetera. We said sometimes you got to change it up. You got to be able to just give the kids some fun, break out of your normal routine a little bit, because if you stay in the same old rut, you're gonna lose those kids. And of course, as a young coach, you taking it in. But as I got further in my career, I said, Coach Jackson was right on this. So I like that. I like that lineup that you got. That's an amazing, amazing coaching staff. Um, who would be your all-time starting five in the WNBA? So all-time starting five women. basketball. You hear them say the guys all the time. I want to throw the women. Who be your starting five all time?
Definitely Asia Wilson. Now you
Okay,
have to
Asia.
have her. I've always been a big fan of Brianna Stewart.
Yeah, Brianna.
Um,
Hmm.
love some Candace Parker, so she'd be on there. Diana
Okay.
Taurasi, she's the goat, and
Hmm.
she's just tough, physically and mentally.
She
So
is.
she'd have to be on my
Hmm.
team. And even though she's not playing anymore, like I think she's a goat too. Maya Moore, like she
Yeah,
accomplished so much in the short amount of time that she was playing.
she
She
did.
definitely have to be on my starting five.
Yeah, and I understand what Maya Moore she took off for greater purposes, bigger than herself. But she had an amazing career, and the thing about it, very very low key. Never really heard anything negative about her. Carried herself to a high standard, competed at a high level. Just really was um, a great representative for just women's basketball. So again, I understand she had a purpose bigger than herself, but I definitely would like to see her play a couple more years. I think she, with her on anybody's team, that's another two or three championships. So that's amazing to see. So I was going to ask you about who you thought the GOAT was. You kind of gave me that question. So I'm going to continue to go on for these last few questions. I'm starting to see the WNBA are slowly creating super teams like you see in the NBA. What's your thought process about that?
Well, at first, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of
Hmm.
it in on the men's side. But
Yeah.
then, my husband reminded me that my Celtics started it with
Yeah.
KG and Ray Allen and Paul
I'm glad
Pierce
you said that. Yeah. Yep.
joining teams. So I guess that's where it originated. So and we
Yeah.
won the championship with it. So and the thing is, everybody wants to be a champion. Everybody wants to win a
Yep.
championship. And,
They do.
the talent is so great now that one player can't carry a team and do it by themselves. So you do need to
Hmm.
surround yourself with players that can help you, achieve the goal. So I think
They
I'm
do.
slowly kind of starting to feel it a little bit. It does make the game exciting though, like to see how these
It
players
does.
mesh together and how they get out there and compete, and then you get to see them having fun because
That's true.
they're playing playing with people that they like playing with players that play on their level, and it makes the
Mhm.
game a little bit more fun to watch, I think.
It does, and that's what I was hoping from the All Star game. But on the men's side, the women still they get at it, but on the men's side, it was very disappointing. It had been going on for years and years and years, but this year it just felt so disappointing. And I told my wife, she said, "You sitting there watching like gonna be different," but I'm like, I'm sitting there really, to be honest, Coach, I'm sitting there in the 12-year-old body of Brandon because I remember when I was a kid, I would couldn't wait to watch the All Star game, watch them where everybody had their jersey, the shoes, and see some of your favorite players compete on the same team because that was the teams you created on video games. But now when I see it, it has to be super super frustrating to young fans, maybe older fans, and people pay all their money just to see, as kind of what Jalen Brown said, a glorified layup line. That was tough for me to watch, Coach. I ain't gonna lie though. But I'm about trying to be positive, but that hurt me really deep.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about watching it either, because
Hmm.
they didn't compete. That there was no
No,
competition. It was just
no.
whoever could score the most points. Um,
Hmm.
and and I'm all for because they showed some clips of when Michael Jordan played, when Kobe played. It was
Hmm.
straight competition.
Yep.
You trying to stop the opposing player, and then you trying to
Hmm.
get down and score on them or whatever. I hopefully the NBA will receive the feedback from this year and try to figure out a
Hmm.
way to make it a little bit more competitive to regain the fan interest in it.
Yeah, that's true. And again, we live in this new, I always say the new world, but it's not new. It's just things have changed. It's all about protecting your injuries, protecting your assets, things of that nature. So I do get that part. So it's just tough to be able to see. Coach, before I get you out here, I want to ask you two more questions. Um, what is something people get wrong about you that they shouldn't get wrong, but just because they haven't took time to get to know you, they often get this wrong. So what is something that people often get wrong with you that it shouldn't even be an issue?
Um, Probably that I'm really quiet and introverted.
Hmm.
And really, I'm not. I am, to a certain degree. But like once
Yeah.
I let you in my circle, then you get to see the extroverted side of me. But I think people really kind of think I am, standoffish and introverted, maybe. But that's
Hmm.
really not the case. My assistant coach, she tells me this all the time. Like I won't go initiate a conversation, but
Yeah.
but once I start talking to you, we
Yeah.
can have a conversation and and just have fun.
Mhm.
But I think that's something that people probably get wrong a little bit.
I feel you on that, coach. My mom tells me that all the time, especially like when I go to the clinics. She say when you go to those clinics, son, go there and talk with somebody. Go ahead and kind of chat it up. And I like I like genuine conversations, coach. And I hate to go up and we having small talk to talk about nothing. Hey man, how you doing? How your season? What y'all doing for the summer? Like I want to have genuine conversations, but I do. But I'm the same way. Once you get to know me, I love talking basketball. I just love talking life. It don't necessarily be about basketball. So I'm trying to work on that part as well. Because again, I'm just not a. I like value in everything I do. So if we ain't really have a valuable have conversation that's going to be valuable, I kind of stray away from it. But sometimes, and I understand, sometimes being like that, I might miss an opportunity to get to know somebody because we could be thinking the same thing and we actually could be collaborating, helping each other out. Before we leave, coach, I kind of leave all my guests with this. Some people call it the your soapbox, but again, that sounds negative. So these last 60 seconds or to a minute or however long you need, just anything that you want to share, anything that you want to just talk about as we kind of wrap up with this episode.
Well, I'll talk about the All Star game since it's coming up next weekend.
Okay.
I'm very honored to have the opportunity
Yeah.
to be the head coach for the Mississippi team. I'm
Yeah.
grateful to be able to coach the young ladies and be a mentor for the young ladies that we have on that team. Grateful to work with Coach Moore. I think we have a really good shot at bringing that trophy back to Mississippi. So I'm really excited about that. Just really excited to kind of take the floor with those kids and see what we can make happen. Because Moore and I we've been talking, collaborating about some of the things that we hopefully can input or dang, I forgot the word I was trying to use, but install to try to help our team be successful.
Mhm.
So, I'm really excited and I hope people get out and come over to Mobile because it's a short drive from here. Get over, support these
It is.
kids, and help us bring that trophy back to Mississippi.
That's a good thing, coach. We definitely gonna be praying for you all. Definitely gonna be cheering you all on, and praying for a victory. Because again, Mississippi gets a lot of negativity, but we do a lot of great things in Mississippi. And I could spend the next 10 minutes saying those things from NFL, from education, from Hollywood. We got so many things in Mississippi. So anytime we get an opportunity to represent, I think is gonna be amazing. Coach, I thank you for an amazing episode. Again, I'm so excited. I enjoy doing this because I get an opportunity to talk basketball, but also to get an opportunity to meet other people and just pick their brains about it. And I'm especially excited about this week because we're gonna have our coaches who are gonna be representing us this week in the Mississippi Alabama game coming up this weekend. Of course, Coach Moore, we have her, Coach Tadlock, and also Coach Green. And so we're looking forward to those amazing, amazing things. Again, I thank you all fans for coming out and showing support for the Inner Sand podcast. Continue to share, like, and subscribe.